And we are live. This is Three Dudes in a Football. I'm Adam. That's Miles. And that's Mike down there, the unrestricted free agent. And today is March 18th, and that's what the description will be for the podcast because I have lost count of how many episodes, and I'm sure I'm putting them wrong every time I just put the shit up. So, I don't know. I'm just going to start putting the date that we actually do this shit.
That makes sense.
I think so, But I guess we're just going to get right into free agency, man. This has been a very active free agent so far this year in 2021. And in my opinion right now, the Patriots are taking off with it.
Yeah.
They are really coming out the dominant team right now. And a lot of other teams a lot of people are making moves. I mean, Andy Dalton to Chicago. Who saw that coming?
I don't think Andy Dalton did.
No shit, and he said in his little Zoom press conference or whatever that the reason he went there because he was told that he's going to be the starter.
Well, they had to.
He went there because they paid him. What the hell is that?
It's still just a 1-year contract. Same thing he got in Dallas.
Yeah,
I can't remember exactly how much it was.
Well,
but
he doesn't deserve any more than that, man. In my opinion.
No, that's a good opinion.
So, but I mean, they had to do something. Chicago, I mean, Trubisky is done. Foles, is he even still there? I doubt it. I mean, they don't have anything.
I don't know. Well,
no, I mean, Foles is coming back this year. Foles is coming back this year.
Yeah, but he won't play more than 2 or 3 games before he gets hurt.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't argue with that.
Did you guys hear what Chicago tried to do and why they wound up with Dalton?
No.
It was reported widely that they tried to give up 3 first-round picks, a third-round pick, plus 2 starters to Seattle to get Russell Wilson. Seattle said no. So, because they worked so hard and so long on that situation, it didn't pan out. Free agency started. They got behind the 8 ball. They were kind of hoping maybe Dak would come free. And then now they kind of got stuck with – some spoiled milk type options. Now, I'm not saying that Dalton couldn't win them some games, but I mean, if you are a Bears fan, and the last few years you've had Mitchell Trubisky, let's not forget that he got drafted over Mahomes and Watson. Everyone will remind you if you do. And then Nick Foles, and then, I mean, remember Mike Glennon? They brought him in thinking like, oh, yeah, that's probably a good idea. He lasted a half. And now this shit, I mean, Jesus, the best you can do is Andy King Dalton.
And $10 million, he's going to make $10 million, and his max value with incentives is $13 million.
Mm-hmm.
You know who's really pissed off right now? Who didn't get a new contract for the Bears? Who's got the fucking franchise tag? Allen Robinson. Yep.
Yeah.
He's got to be like, what the fuck is going on?
Mm.
And then what about, dude, Corey Davis goes to the Jets for like $33 million.
Yeah.
What the?
For how many years?
Do you even know who I'm talking about?
Corey Davis is a Tennessee Titan.
Well, yeah, he was, but I'm just saying. I wouldn't expect, somebody that doesn't live in this vicinity to know who the hell he is. But yet this son of a bitch is going to he's going to the Jets for like $33 million. I want to say it's 4 years.
I think it's 3.
Is it 3?
He had a couple of good games,
worse.
right? He had a couple of good games. I mean, but that's a big price tag for a guy like that.
It's a huge price tag, man. It's a huge price tag. And then Jonnu Smith goes to the Patriots for $50 million. Dude, yeah, the Titans.
Jonnu Smith was going to get that. Someone was going to give it to him.
Oh, yeah.
And they're dangerous. With him and Hunter Henry, man, they know how to run a two tight end offense, man.
With Cam Newton coming back at the Patriots, do you think he's got a much better chance this year seeing how they're building their team?
I don't know. I think he's done still. I just think he's done. He's done.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. He's done, man.
I agree. It's been a couple of years for him. I mean, we all sat here last year and said that, him to the Patriots made sense. He had an off year. He was hurt. That's 2 years that he's looked bad. So unless he just really needs some extra time to recover, I don't think the injuries played any part in his badness last year. I mean, but there are a lot of situations where you have great talent, people look better. Who knows? We don't know.
I mean,
It
if they're
could
just going to
be.
dink and dunk the tight ends, then he might do okay. You know, he might. It might work out for them. I mean, but it's his star days of being Cam Newton are over. Whatever
Well, no,
he is
I
now.
agree with that. No, I absolutely agree with that. I have no delusion that he's going to be the Cam Newton that the Carolina Panthers drafted. I don't see that one bit.
Mm,
But is this the chance? I mean, it's a chance for him to reinvent himself, obviously.
I don't
But
know if he's
whether
got
he
it in him after the way he's
that's
handled himself last year.
That's my thing, dude. I mean, he couldn't finish the season because just like I'm sure we said this last year. Don't anybody go back and listen. But I'm sure we said it last year. He couldn't make it. If he stays healthy, he could have a good season, but he can't stay healthy. And last season just kind of proved that even more.
Yep.
And the way he plays and the way they used him, I mean, he didn't have a shot anyway. Because I think half the world probably thought, who paid attention, that he was going to show up there and he was going to be a pocket quarterback. He's shown flashes of being able to really do that for a long period of time. When he first came in the league, I mean, some of it at Auburn, and he's actually became more of a running quarterback in the pros.
Mm-hmm.
And after the injuries, I'm thinking, okay, well, Belichick's not going to have a running quarterback. He never has. I don't think he cares about that. But I think they reached a point in the offense last year where they're like, you know what? I don't think we can actually score if we don't use him the way he's always been used. But then again, you're just beating him up. So I was surprised they brought him back. I was surprised that they gave him the amount of money that they did, even though it's an incentive-laden deal. It's like up to 12, 13 million this year. And I think that there were better options other places that they could have got. I think Andy Dalton with the Patriots probably made a lot more sense than Cam Newton with the Patriots. We're going to go that way.
Yes, I agree. Wholeheartedly. I think that Bill Belichick or Josh McDaniels could have made use of an Andy Dalton.
So what do you think does the Houston move to sign Tyrod Taylor mean anything?
I mean, Tyrod's going to play. The way it's looking.
Yeah.
Well,
He's going to play. Yeah, he's going to play. So, I mean, he's not a bad quarterback, man. He's had a rough go. He's not had the best of luck when it comes to doing well, but I mean, he's not just a god awful quarterback by any means. He's a decent manager of the game. I mean, he can get what needs to be done as a quarterback position done. But it's definitely grasping at straws a little bit. I think with him. I mean, I don't know. They're in a mess. Nobody gives a shit about Houston anyhow. So I mean, who cares?
Might as well have somebody tote the bag for a season. You're gonna eat it. Here you go.
Well, they also signed Mark Ingram.
I will. Oh my God! Yeah, that.
Yeah. Yep. Mark Ingram to a 1 year deal up to $3 million that included a $500,000 signing bonus.
He's done, man. Mark Ingram done.
I know, he's been done. Oh my gosh, he's been done.
Yeah, Houston, man.
So what about? So I mean, apparently the Colts have only really made two moves, and that's Carson Wentz and then re-signing Marlon Mack. That's the only two moves they've really made.
Yeah.
So Carson Wentz to the Colts.
I mean, I've never had any faith in that guy, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe scheme, it turns out, is going to be larger than life. Maybe this guy is, but I can't see him having – they're not going to have a over 500 season in there. I'll say it right now. I don't know that the Colts will have an over 500 season.
I don't know. They got a good running game. And they still got their defense. They didn't really lose many parts when it comes to the defense.
Oh, they did. They lost Autry. Titans signed him. And he's not the thing that makes the whole defense go. I mean, that's probably Darius Leonard if we're really going to make all things equal. But, I mean, I forget his first name, but Autry's kind of like a D tackle, D end, almost like a J.J. Watt type. He can be disruptive. He's not going to be 15, 20 sacks a year, but, I mean, he could get between 7 and 12 pretty easily.
He signed a 3-year deal. So,
man, all I know is
piece you have to have.
I'm more excited about. Sorry, go ahead, Miles.
Real talent and real leadership rises above scheme. Okay, it does. It makes it. You can see it, and I don't see real talent or real leadership from Carson Wentz. I never have, and I stand by that.
Yeah, plus he doesn't have the tools around him on offense. I mean, they re-signed what's that one? Marlon Mack. You said that, and then I think T.Y. Hilton is probably gone if he hasn't already signed with somebody. And I mean, they've got some bits and pieces, but it's not like a whole unit. Last year, it seemed to work with Rivers, and they had a couple of guys that could kind of fit in. They didn't have anybody that really outshined anybody else on the offense, but they had pieces that could play together. But they had a lot of defectors in free agency. They're going to have to really hit the draft to be good this year.
Yep. And Phillip Rivers, I would pick him all day, every day over a Carson Wentz.
Oh, I'm with you on that. Yeah. So, there's no question about that shit.
No.
I think the biggest, the only thing the Packers have done is Aaron Jones. 4-year contract for $48 million, man. $48 million.
I'm so dismayed by that for so many reasons.
Well, by all means, elaborate.
Dude, the last couple seasons, they've done nothing but be their own worst enemy, and almost by dumb luck, they made it to the NFC Championship last year. They were so much better for one season, but I think it was a flash in the pan. I think committing all this capital, both in the draft and in terms of dollars on a contract to the running back position between Dillon and this guy is a huge mistake. They first round picked a quarterback that's not going to play this year either. And I mean, they're not adding any pieces. I mean, with Aaron Jones, that amount of money on a year when the cap goes down to $185 million roughly. I mean, so what is that? 4 years, 48, that's $12 million. That's like 7% of your cap to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones doesn't play 16 games. Aaron Jones is a great player, but he's also a running back. You could have picked a guy in the second round to go with Dillon this year, who you picked in the second round last year, and made the most of it and gone out and got an impact player. They need a wide receiver. They need a fucking wide receiver. They need a wide receiver. I mean, you can't say it enough times because they can't hear anybody and understand that they need a wide receiver. They play with these guys that are half shits, and they have the best quarterback in the game, but only for like another year or two. They're blowing it, man.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Green Bay doesn't need to spend that kind of money on a running back. They don't utilize it. They don't. It doesn't matter if he is the next freaking Emmitt Smith. It's not. They just don't use him. They're not going to use the running game the way that you would warrant spending that kind of money. It's just not going to happen. So you might as well take your Dillon that you have already and ride him like a fucking horse, and let Aaron Jones go wherever he wants to and hook up with another wide receiver opposite of Davante Adams.
I agree. You can't pay a running back that much money on that team. You just can't.
No, they won't ever. It doesn't matter if they fire every coach that has to do with the running game and hire new. They will still not utilize their running game to the utmost, like to pay that kind of money. They just won't. They won't. They never have. Green Bay hasn't, as long as I've watched football, Green Bay has not done that.
Yeah,
I have to agree. They had who?
Ryan Grant. That was back in the Favre days.
That's right. Yep. So, I mean, I'm not really seeing many wide receivers out there for.
There was plenty. I mean, I'm looking at Will Fuller right now going to the Dolphins. He could have went out and went opposite of Davante Adams and been fine. He's a big playmaker.
And he's a bargain. He would have taken less. Less than Aaron Jones got. I mean, he's coming off his like third straight year where he got injured and had to be out for the season. So, I mean, that guy's not going to break the bank. Plus, Allen Robinson, you probably could have, waited and maybe got something for him or traded. Maybe still could if you had the cap space. AJ Green was out there. He went to the Cardinals.
Yeah, he's in Arizona now.
I mean, say what you will, but I mean, I would take AJ Green with Aaron Rodgers for a year.
Yeah.
I mean, God, there's a lot of guys. We cut the Titans cut Adam Humphries. There was Corey Davis at one point, and maybe you have to overpay for some of these guys. But God, you just need somebody opposite Davante Adams because as long as there's Davante Adams and a bunch of C-list guys, I don't care what anybody says. That's what they are. They show up. They get opportunities where they wouldn't on any other team from a great quarterback. That's why their stats are what they are. Davante Adams gets double covered and taken off the game, still gets his numbers and his stats, but Aaron Rodgers needs the help. The reason why they can't break through is because they don't have anybody else to challenge on offense anywhere besides Davante Adams.
Yep.
And another person that the Patriots got was that Nelson. I can't even begin to pronounce his last name, but he had Okay, awesome. I'll take your word for it. But dude, the end of the year last year, he really came out and really started playing. So, dude, I'm looking at the Patriots and I'm thinking next year, I don't know, man. I don't know because Cam Newton didn't have anybody last year. Sorry to turn this back around on that shit. But who did he have?
Yeah, but I'm hearing you, but just because he's acquired Nelson Aguilar, that is not set off a farm bill in my head.
Well, no shit. I'm not just talking about him though, but I mean, dude, they got a few. They got both they got the
tight
two
ends.
Tight ends, yes.
That's huge.
That's huge. Plus a receiver. I mean, another.
They made some moves for
Trent Brown from the Raiders.
Yeah. Nelson Aguilar is the lowest man on the totem pole as far as I'm concerned with what they've acquired. I mean, Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith is huge for that offense.
Dude, they signed a lot of defensive. They signed like a whole new defensive line too.
Yeah, they gave out between cash they're going to pay out over the next couple of years. I think I saw something that's like $100 million with the free agent contracts, which I don't think I've ever seen them do that. Nope. They may every once in a while kind of skip over and get like a A-list guy like a Stephon Gilmore. They got him, after he left the Bills. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's rare that they pay this much money out ever. And I look at it like Belichick's on his probably last 2 seasons, maybe 3. He's not patient anymore. He's not trying to hold draft capital. The whole thing about the Patriots used to, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the compensatory pick system. If you have,
I have no idea about that.
I'll sum it up real quick. So basically, if you have like 6 free agents leave and you only sign 5, then you're going to get a compensatory draft pick for the 1. And the formula is kind of a secret. They don't really put it out there, but most people have determined it has something to do with how much your free agents signed for versus how much you sign free agents for. So if you have a guy have a breakout season, he goes and signs somewhere else for like $100 million contract, but you don't sign the equivalent of that, like you basically just get bargain basement guys. You get a higher compensatory draft pick the next draft. The highest you can get is like a 3rd rounder. It's like a free draft pick that you get. And the Patriots every year just get a boatload because they figure out how to work the system. Go figure. But they threw all that to win this year, and they just started shopping, dude. They blew all the money they could on these guys. So they're in win now mode. They're really trying to say, okay, well, next year, 2 years, if we're going to do anything, this is the time.
Yep.
Wow.
And that's because McDaniels is sliding in and Belichick is sliding out. That's the word on the street anyhow. I mean, or McDaniels will be a head coach somewhere else right now.
I mean, he's tried. I don't think he's going to be a good head coach. I mean, he was shit in Denver.
Yeah, I know. He doesn't have a good track record as a head coach, but I mean, he got multiple offers last year or the year before and turned them all down.
He's had multiple offers ever since he came back to the Patriots. He's had multiple offers every fucking year, and every year he doesn't sign them, and every year I don't give a fuck.
Well, I don't either, but I mean, it goes to show you that he's got some kind of incentive to stay there.
Yeah, because he's been promised a team by Bob Kraft, allegedly.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I agree with you, but
okay.
I can't stand the guy.
No, I don't have any love for the guy. I mean, he seems to me like one of the people that Mike's talked about before that's a coordinator. He's not a head coach. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it seems like to me.
No, that's how I felt about him when he was in Denver.
Yeah, I mean, what pissed me off, the first thing he did in Denver was try to get rid of Jay Cutler, who was literally just went to the Pro Bowl. Went to the Pro Bowl.
He doesn't seem to have any people skills, and that may have changed the last decade or so, but that was the thing that really sunk his boat. He thought he was hot shit. I mean, he was buying into his own hype. They started out in Denver 6-0 that first season he was there, and he ran everybody off. I mean, no one could stand him. He had that Jim Harbaugh kind of atmosphere around him, except that Jim Harbaugh won every year. Nobody could say shit. And Josh McDaniels, he stopped winning after like week 7. So, I think he's got a shot to be a decent coach, but I don't care either.
So one thing we
Patriots can burn in hell with him and head at the range.
How do you really feel about the Patriots there, Miles?
That's how I really feel.
Wow.
They can be the freaking the laughing stock for a little while for all I care.
It's their time.
Yeah. So let's talk about old Dak Prescott.
Yeah. Good for him.
164 million, and that includes 126 million guaranteed for a 4-year contract.
Is he worth more than Patrick Mahomes to you?
No, not at all.
He is.
Yeah, according to Jerry Jones, yeah. But no, I would have never in my life would have thought that a team would have paid that for him right now.
Good for him.
Good for him. I don't take anything away from him. Good for him. Whatever. But
yeah.
Wow, dude, he may not ever play the same ever again.
No.
But look, I mean, he's got so much going for him. He is the picture of a player. I mean, the prototype of a player taking a team over a barrel. I mean, dude, he got over on Dallas so good on this deal on so many different factors.
Yes.
The first being the fact of what he's making per year. Obviously, you know, everyone can see that he's making $40 million plus. That's what he wanted the whole time. He got it. Congratulations. Second is his agent negotiated that Dallas actually franchise him again this year. So by placing the franchise tag on him, that counts as his second time. So he had the first day that basically they franchised him on Monday. On Tuesday, he signs the new contract, which is already negotiated ahead of time. But by doing this, if they try to franchise him after this contract is up, he gets a 44% raise over the year before, which basically means there's no way that can happen. If in the last year of his deal he's making $46 million or something, since it's usually backloaded, then 44% of that's like I don't know, $25 million. So I mean, it's like an extra $20-something million raise. He'd be making almost $70 million for one season if they franchise him, and he has a no trade clause. Like, he literally got everything in this contract that you could get. Not to mention, it's a 4-year deal. So he can renegotiate in 3 years. It's not like the 10-year deal Mahomes signed.
Nope. And this guy is from Mississippi State, and he has never won anything in his life. They haven't. He has not. He has not won a significant anything. So I'm blown away by it. I good for him. Good for his agent. You know, and I'm not saying he's bad. He's not a bad quarterback. He's good. He's all right.
He's decent. But here's the thing, dude. Here's the thing about Dak Prescott. All of his stats come from trash time in these games.
Yeah.
Everything that. I mean, dude, it's almost like watching Derek Carr. That's where he gets all his stats from. If you look at the stats, Derek Carr has some really good stats, except for his win-loss record, just like Dak.
Right.
Yeah, I'll jump on that. I think it's fair.
I mean, and like Miles said, he's never won a big game.
He's not a proven anything. Like, you know, not even a championship of any kind.
What about high school?
Maybe. Who cares?
Last year is when he got this contract, because the first 4 or 5, 6 games he played where he was just balling out stat-wise, and he was putting up 400, 500 yards a game. I mean, that's
they were still losing those games.
He was.
They were
and
losing.
That's probably one of the reasons why he got those, because otherwise, if they had been in the lead, if they'd played well, if you hadn't turned the ball over, yeah, you can make a lot of arguments for that, and they're all valid arguments. But I think Jerry Jones saw that, the agent capitalized on that, and that's what kind of led to this contract. But we'll see. I mean, right now, they don't have a choice. That's their guy. We'll see what happens. He's not even. I can't even say that he would be 100% from that injury last year. It was a compound fracture. He broke a lot of shit.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
And when you watch him play, his tenure up to this point, I mean, like, when Alex Smith was, you know, quarterback, teaching Mahomes how to be a star quarterback or whatever, and, you know, coming up through the ranks, the moment Patrick Mahomes hit the field, all of us knew that this guy was going to be a star. There was no doubt in anybody's mind that Patrick Mahomes was going to be a star. Now, can you say the same at any point about Dak?
Not really.
No.
Not really. I mean, he doesn't threaten other teams like those two guys do. I mean, Mahomes, 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, even if it's a 10-point deficit, I'd still – you listen to the Super Bowl last year, they thought Mahomes was about to come back at any given point.
At any point, yes.
Yep. Yeah. And I thought that the entire – dude, I never gave up on him until like the 2-minute warning. That's when I was like, you know what, this might be over.
Yeah, I don't see that with Dak.
No. I mean, he's a good ball player, but he is no I don't know, man.
He's not the number one quarterback in the league.
No,
He's not, dude. Yeah, he's not the number one quarterback. I want to say in his division, but he probably isn't in his division.
I put him at like 6 or 7 on a blind list, not really counting down right now, but I could see him at, outside that top 5. But he's going to have a lot of pressure on him, man. These next couple seasons, it's going to be they won because of Dak or they lost because of Dak. And he's going to really get it next couple seasons.
Deservedly so, though. If he's going to take this kind of offer, man, it's going to be on his shoulders. That's the way it is.
Man.
Yeah. And he's going to be under a microscope, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see. I mean, how's Ezekiel? Is that his name?
I don't know. He already lost his wheels. I mean, last year was not a good year for him.
Not at all. Yeah. And he got hurt. I mean, did he come back from that?
I don't know.
He was off and on, and they had just a bad season altogether. I mean, they had no quarterback for, I don't know, about 7-8 weeks in the middle there when Dalton was out.
Yeah. But the Cowboys, man, I mean, when are we talking the last time that we could really, put them up on a pedestal? The early 90s?
Troy Aikman. Yeah.
I mean, they have not been a factor for quite some time. So
they were never a factor with Drew Bledsoe. They were never a factor with fucking Tony Romo. Has it been their only 2 quarterbacks, hasn't it, since Troy Aikman?
Of note, there have been other ones.
Yeah, I know there's been other ones.
Carter. Yeah, they've had some decent teams. They've had some really good seasons. I can think of a couple of seasons where they were really, front runners in the conference at one point in time during the season, if not right up until the playoffs. But now they're a few moves away from really being there. They might win that division next year because it sucks. And I mean, Washington signed somebody at quarterback, didn't they?
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yes, sir.
There he goes. Are you disappointed? Miles? I know you wanted him. Happy. I know you wanted him out there with you.
Oh, I would have taken him here in Denver. I love Fitz, man. I think he's exciting to watch. Who cares? It's going to throw 6 touchdowns or 6 interceptions. Either way, it's going to be a blast to watch. And
went to Harvard.
Oh yeah, I'm all for him. I think he's amazing. He needs to go down as one of the storied careers in the NFL, man. Somebody like that. I mean, starting for 8 different teams.
10.
Awesome.
10.
Is it 10?
It's 10 because it was 9 before I saw that he got signed.
Wow.
So now that he's signed,
10 different teams. Starting.
10. Yeah.
That's spectacular in my mind.
It is. It is spectacular. That's one way to put it. Definitely. So I'm sorry, but all right. In my opinion, I'm just going to put this out there. I think the biggest upgrade it's going to make the most impact as far as quarterbacks goes is the Rams.
Yes, I would. Well, as far as the NFC goes, I don't. Is there anybody on the AFC that has made any big move? I don't know.
No, there isn't.
Depends on what Deshaun Watson does, I guess. How that ends.
Well, I mean, I don't know. If he can get out of a massage parlor, I'm sure he can get something. I mean, him and Bob Kraft are hanging out.
If he goes somewhere in the AFC, then that would be the only thing I could think of bigger. But yeah, Matthew Stafford to the Rams is going to be something to watch. I think. I mean, he's not done. He's still
no, he's not done. Now, here's my thing. I don't think he's going to be going to the Jets simply because of what they just spent on freaking their one receiver. They got 2 receivers, but they spent most of their money on freaking Corey Davis, which I still don't understand.
Yeah. Well, they've got Sam Darnold there. He can
what? What?
I don't know what he could do. I'm not sure. He's one of these.
They did sign Carl Lawson to a 3-year deal for $45 million. So that's their other big sign. But yeah, I don't get it, man.
I don't see Deshaun Watson playing next year, man.
At all?
I really don't. No. Especially with this litigation shaking out the way it is, man. Who knows?
Well, it's all civil suits.
I understand that, but I mean, it's you've got capital, you've got player capital that has been diminished significantly by this, and people are not going to offer up what they once were going to, just due to this. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's politics of it.
That is politics, however. let's address the elephant in the room here. Who owns these massage parlors? Does Jack Easterby own these massage parlors?
I don't know.
Yeah. Get your
Robert
tinfoil
Kraft-
hats out. Get your tinfoil hats out. All right. I'm telling you, dude, this is bullshit. I don't think Deshaun Watson has anything to do with any of this bullshit. I think that's, Jack Easterby doing some shady shit, getting some people. All of a sudden, their lawyer has 9 clients out of nowhere. And dude, Deshaun Watson, you know how he found out he was getting sued by social media.
Oh,
That's how-
yeah, and listen, you're hitting a nail on the head. There's got to be a part here spoken about how jumping on a bandwagon and trying to knock somebody down that's up high. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that there might be some part of that. But also, we have to look at the history of the past several years. These fucking NFL players don't know how to behave themselves around women. So,
You're right. You're absolutely right. No, you're right.
So I don't know who to believe at this point, at this juncture, to be honest with you. I really don't.
No, and I don't either. It really, the way it's all kind of come down stinks. So, I mean, there's something going on here that I don't think anybody knows yet. But Houston's a dysfunctional team. And whatever's going on, they kind of ask for it either way. Because look at it from this perspective, when he really started making waves and saying he wanted to be there, they should have traded him then. They could have played the whole card in public saying, well, we're not really trading him, but then take the calls, maximize your offer, take the best deal and let him go out of town, because you don't want to keep the guy who's supposed to run your franchise who doesn't want to be there. That goes against all purpose and reason that you can come up with. And they should have then. Then they were waiting because they were like, we can strong arm him and stand. He'll be fine. You can't do anything. He's under contract. That's the mentality of a stupid person. And now, not only if they were, without all this, if they were trying to trade him, they wouldn't get as much because free agency's already hit. On a down year for the cap, people have less to spend. They're going to have to take on part of his contract. You really have, kind of shrunk down the number of teams who could take it on, who have a needed quarterback, who have the draft capital to give up. And now, like you said, Miles, all that's frozen. Like, no deals are going to happen. It's like, everything kind of goes back to square one. It's a complete draw. No one's going to be able to trade for anything because they're not going to put all this capital out there for a guy who might get suspended. Or, we really don't know how this is going to play out. It's a complete.
We got a month.
Houston could have been rid of this.
Yep.
We got a month.
Yeah.
We got a month before we find out.
Been rid of it. And I tell you what, I realize that he's a quarterback, okay, and I understand the importance of a quarterback. I'm not an idiot, but when you look back at recent history such as Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, and I mean those guys were superstars. And nobody gave a fuck. They let him sit out.
You're right.
I mean, they sat out. So who's to say Deshaun Watson isn't going to just sit the fuck out?
It kind of screws him. I mean, you don't get that year back. I mean, and the owners know. I mean, they really aren't scared about holdouts anymore. I think there was a point in time certain owners would have been quick trigger and let's just get this over with. But now, I mean, probably because of Le'Veon Bell, it's just like, well, go ahead. If you got to, you got to. But we're not gonna set a precedent for the other guys on the roster to do the same thing.
Yep. They should have done what you said, Mike. They should have freaking when capital was high, they should have said, "Yes, sir, take him. Give me what you want to give me." And now it's shit. I don't think he's playing next year. I really don't, man.
And we talked about it, man. I mean, if anybody needs something in return, like immediately, it's Houston. They got to get players because even with Deshaun Watson, they suck. They don't have anybody, man. And some of the good players that they had last year, the few that they had, which is your Will Fuller, which is they cut Duke Johnson, and J.J. Watt's gone. I mean, the pieces are falling away, and you don't have any means to return value to the cupboard, so to speak, because you have no draft picks. You gave them all away. You could have got rid of Watson for a couple of first rounders, a couple of second rounders, pull like one of those draft day deals like from the movie, and David Putney because I fucking feel like it, and something like that would have helped them at least kind of get back on the road. They could have drafted another quarterback next year. You don't have to have Deshaun Watson because they've had Deshaun Watson. They still haven't been able to win. They've been in the playoffs a couple times. They could have got somebody decent and filled out the team.
See, that's my thing. Deshaun Watson, what does he want?
chicks.
I can only imagine there's a part of
No,
it
he's
that,
coerced
other than
chicks.
that, other than wanting to go around and fondling whoever. I can't. I imagine that at this point in his career, he wants to win. I mean, he's got paid. He's been paid to a certain extent. So I mean, he is a competitor. We can't. Well, all of us can agree that the guy is a competitor
Absolutely.
because he never laid down. I mean, he always played to his maximum potential. So I mean, maybe he just wants to win. But it's not looking good for him, man. I mean,
he's not going to win in Houston. He's not going to win in Houston. No. And they have a month. They have a little more than a month to do something because the draft is April 29th. And if they don't do anything before that, he's not playing next year.
I don't think he's going to, man. I'll say it right here. March 18th. Episode
March 18th. You damn right.
He's not playing next year, man. Especially if
let me ask you a question, Miles. Do you think, all right, I have no doubt that he's not going to play in Houston, but do you think he's just not going to play in the NFL at all?
I do not, man. I do not. But with the things that have come to light, and as political as things are in the NFL with this particular topic, name me a team that you know of that would outside of the Cleveland Browns 2 years ago that would pick up somebody who has been accused of doing this.
Yeah, I mean, at least not without knowing the other side. I mean,
dude. Ever since the whole Ray Rice incident happened a few years ago, I mean, Kareem Hunt is a phenomenal football player. He is a running back that I would have on my team any day of the week. But the Kansas City Chiefs decided, hey, you're going to do this kind of activity, you're gone. And the only team that picked him up was the Cleveland Browns. And who picked up Ray Rice? Nobody. Who's picked up Antonio Brown? He had to get in the pocket of freaking Tom Brady's good graces to find any kind of salvage. No one else wanted him. No one wanted Antonio Brown.
It took him over a year to get back on the team. He was that one game with the Patriots, and then he sat out to the middle of the next season. He was top of his game. So it just goes to show you, I mean, really at a certain point, if you're volatile like that, you become a free agent, ain't nobody going to take you, man.
No. So he went from Pittsburgh to Vegas or Oakland at that point. Yeah. Then where? Miami? No.
The Pats? Wasn't he at the Pats for a hot second?
Yeah, he went to So he went to the Pats, and then
he was done.
Then he was done, and then Tampa Bay. Yeah. Correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And Kareem Hunt. Are you kidding me? Do you know how many teams could have used a Kareem Hunt? And they wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. So, I mean, it's gotten a little bit more – it's less of this anything to win attitude when you've got these politics involved with like what Deshaun Watson's involved with right now. I mean,
and the other part of that too is that the teams have to know what the final result's probably going to be. If they don't know what it's going to be, if they don't know how bad it could get or how good it could wind up being, they just will sit back and wait, and they'll err on the side of caution, because you have to think with Antonio Brown, the whole thing was he was under investigation, which the league can do indefinitely on something. And literally, with no definition on the time. I mean, it basically means that they can investigate for 2 years if they want. And as long as there's that investigation, no team's going to sign them, because the investigation could mean you're suspended for a year and then they've guaranteed money to somebody or paid out something. Anyway, so Antonio Brown, the minute that the league said that they're not going to, or they did suspend him, I think, technically, while he was a free agent for like 6 games or something. Yeah. So then I guess Tampa Bay signed him, and so they could bring him back after those 6 games. They jumped on him, and then he came back. But with this whole thing, I mean, dude, 4 is it 4 accusers?
No, dude. From what I just read before we came on, dude, now the total is supposedly up to 9.
Jeez, well, do you hang out Cuomo? What the hell?
Mike, to solidify your point, I'm not trying to say that these teams have become conscious are aware of anything. They are scared of the unknown.
Yeah.
That is what it is. It's not that they don't want that they're afraid of the backlash of having somebody on their team that may have said something inappropriate to a woman. It's they're scared that they don't know what the NFL is going to do to them at this point, and they can't have that uncertainty.
Exactly. And he's uncertain.
Yes, at this point with all these accusations, because it doesn't matter if it's civil or criminal, the NFL has all the rights in the world to open up an investigation, do they not?
Yes,
of their own.
They put out a statement today.
I mean, he's got 3 lawsuits against him right now. So I don't know where I saw that there was.
I don't know. Maybe Urban Meyer will want him.
Yeah, right.
So here's my question. About this. Since we've spent some time on this, I'm really curious about why you have these civil lawsuits and there's not been any criminal complaints. I mean, over something that's clearly criminal activity. No one's filed any police reports that we know of. No one's made any mention to any, law enforcement. I mean, nothing's out there. So it just basically went straight to civil. And typically the way these things tend to trend, if you want to think back, Ben Roethlisberger, he was under a lot of fire back in the 2000s. All that stuff happened with him, kind of in a short period of time. But that was criminal. And then when the criminal stuff subsided, once the criminal reaches a conclusion, most people usually then go and they'll file a civil suit. Because you can't have both going at the same time, realistically. The discovery on one can ruin the discovery on another. I know we're going down a legal rabbit hole, but that's why this stuff doesn't happen. So the natural order of things is criminal first, then civil. In this case, it's just civil, and not 1, but 3, 4, I don't know, a dozen, whatever it ends up being. It's just really kind of strange to me. I don't know.
Is there some statutes involved? Is there statutes where this could have taken place where they did not claim it in enough time? Where now all they have is a civil litigation, That's the only thing that jumps out to mind at me. The whole criminal civil thing really shut its ugly face to me with the O.J. Simpson thing back in the 90s. Like, I still can't really make heads or tails. I can't make heads or tails of why you can be let go for a criminal investigation and then held to account by the exact same civil one.
I'll tell you why. Because the law is very black and white on what the charge is on a criminal. So, like, if the charge is murder, then you have to be found guilty of the act of murder, premeditated, or whatever. It's very specific. So the jury has to decide, did you do it or did you not do it? Is this you? Could it have been you? But it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt, I think is the term. So in a civil litigation, it's the preponderance of evidence means you are more likely than not responsible. So you don't have to prove that somebody did it, which is why OJ was civil liable for like $100 million or whatever, is because they could say it's more likely than not because Nicole's death, therefore they ruled against him. And so the bar is a lot lower, but it's still weird to go there first.
Wrap that up in as cute as the package as you want to, and I'm still going to call it bullshit. Because
bullshit.
I mean, that is just the legal jargon that you just threw at me, but to make sense of that is ridiculous. Like, if you can be found guilty of one and not the other, it's insane. It's just insane.
All right, so according to Yahoo Sports, and this just came out about half an hour ago, 40 minutes, the lawyer Tony Busby, who now claims to have filed 7 lawsuits on behalf of clients who allegedly experienced misconduct by Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson, will take his case public on Friday at 2:30 Central Time tomorrow. He is holding a press conference to release all his information.
Okay, I tell you why they're doing civil instead of criminal. It's probably because of what Mike just said there. Due to certain ways that you word things, it's probably easier to get them guilty at a civil suit than it would be at a criminal suit. That's got to be the reason they're doing it.
He just made them uncomfortable or something.
Yeah, because he didn't break the law. He coerced them. That's the only thing I've seen so far is that he coerced this masseuse to basically give him a hand job.
It's probably easier to get him charged civilly than it would be criminally, and that's why they're just foregoing the whole criminal process.
Look, man, I mean, it's just etiquette. If you're on the table and your face up, man, you can't thrust the hips up. I mean, it's rude. I mean,
if there's not a hole in the table, okay? If there's not a hole in the table where you then you just got to relax. and just take the massage for what it is.
All right, so he did. The lawyer said as of today that he has 9 total clients.
Well, I don't know, man. Football players don't know when to stop footballing. I mean, that's
Is that what footballing is? Sexual misconduct?
Yes, apparently it is. When you go through all these, look at, Jameis Winston, he's a proven rapist. And here he is playing for the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, he just re-signed, too, for another year.
Christ's sake. And then you've got, these head coaches of these college organizations that look the other way. I mean, they don't
absolutely.
care.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And that's why, that's one of my biggest issues with the Jaguars hiring Urban Meyer. That does nothing for the image of, NFL whatsoever.
I don't think this had the desired effect. I think that they, figured it would spur a lot of enthusiasm and, pump up ticket sales and maybe make them relevant for a little bit. But I don't think it's quite had the impact that they thought it would. And I think it's really going to be hard after like a year or so if he's not just cleaning the clock in the division. I don't think he will. It's going to be hard to kind of keep selling it. I mean, because he's unproven.
Urban Meyer, Gainesville is not Jacksonville.
Right.
I mean, they're both in Florida. I'll give you that. But I don't think Jacksonville loves Urban Meyer as much as Gainesville does.
No,
I mean, it's that simple. It's that simple. Like, you couldn't have what's his name? Old boy from UT,
Phil Fulmer.
You couldn't have Phil Fulmer be celebrated by University of Memphis. They don't. They're not going to give a shit. And I feel like it's a similar thing here, where you're just reaching for somebody who's like maybe has a little recognition in your state, but Jacksonville doesn't give a flying flip about fucking what happened in Gainesville.
Yeah, it's all wins and losses, man. And he doesn't have. I mean, we've talked about it before with him. I don't know. I mean, it could go that way, but I mean, if it doesn't quickly, I think that it's gonna be really hard to continue to sell this to people because he kind of just got pushed to the front of the line because of what he's done in college, a couple places, and both places he left worse than he found it. With Ohio State and Florida both. And although he's had some success and won some national titles and stuff. I mean, he left under a cloud, had his cushy, broadcaster job, and then just kind of turned up somewhere else in a couple of years.
Yep. No accountability, really, over the long haul. He's had some flash in the pan success, and maybe a little bit more than flash in the pan, but still, it's not been like, any kind of tenured success like you're, I mean, you don't look at him and think of solid as rock kind of guy.
Where did Jamal Agnew come from? Where did Jamal Agnew come from? Who did he play for last year? Because Jacksonville just signed him.
I don't know.
Along with Philip Dorsett and Marvin Jones. They signed 3 wide receivers in free agency, plus a running back, Carlos Hyde.
Carlos Hyde's okay.
Carlos Hyde.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting up under there. The senior years here in the league, isn't he? He's running on fumes at this point, is he not? Isn't he like at least 10 years in?
He was okay last year. I think he was part of the rotation in, was it Houston or Seattle?
Yes, Houston. I believe it was Houston.
He's jumped around a bit. The thing about Carlos Hyde, he's not a good pass protector.
No, Seattle.
No. Was he in Seattle? I thought it was.
Yeah.
Who am I thinking of in Houston?
He was in both places.
He's been in Houston before. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I couldn't figure it out. But he's a good guy. I mean, he's a first down, second down kind of back. But if he's in the game, they know they're not really throwing the ball. That's why he moves around so much.
Where did he make his big name stake in San Francisco? Is that where he was when he was?
He got drafted there. I was surprised he left, but he went from there. I think he had a shot in Cleveland and then possibly Houston and then Seattle. Might be another team in there too. He moved around a lot.
That sounds right. Yeah, right. Yeah, he's never been a big star.
This is his 8th year.
8th year. Wow. Okay, I wasn't far off. I thought he was 10.
Yep, this is 8th year. Yeah, he did play for Seattle last year.
Is Frank Gore coming back next year?
Oh my God,
Frank Gore.
Yeah, no.
Damn.
I mean, no, I'm just talking shit. I don't know.
He'll be with Tampa. Yeah.
You can get him in Tampa with Peterson because I think Fournette left, didn't he?
No, I heard that he's still there.
There's no news of it. It doesn't show that he's still there.
Okay.
They haven't re-signed him. Did he just sign for a 1-year contract?
I heard that I could have swore I heard something in passing. Now I don't listen to as much radio as you guys do, but that he was going to hang around.
I mean, if he's smart, he would. But I mean, it's not like he's going to, go anywhere else and be that quick into the offense. It doesn't seem like.
Yeah, here we go. Look here. It's not over either with the club engaged in chats to bring back Antonio Brown, Ndamukong Suh, and Leonard Fournette. So they're still in conversation with them. But
yeah, because they franchise tagged Godwin. They re-signed Gronkowski to an $8 million deal worth up to $10 million with incentives.
Yeah,
they're keeping their guard. They re-signed him, Aaron Stinney, defensive end Shaquille Barrett,
and Levante David. Yeah,
Levante David,
which is big. Those guys were big.
No, it's huge. It's huge. And Tennessee, I think Bud Dupree. Am I saying that right?
Yes, you are. I was a big fan of that move because he's not a top tier edge rusher, but he's really good and he can do things besides just rush the quarterback. Right. And I feel like for the scheme that Vrabel clearly wants to run, I think he's good, especially paired with Jeffrey Simmons. I think that's a good starting package, and then they're going to obviously have to draft and get some help, either cornerback or I think they might have re-signed Jayon Brown, inside linebacker, for a year.
Yes, they did. They re-signed Jayon Brown, got Bud Dupree, Denico Autry from Colts. You were talking about that earlier. Mm-hmm. And they signed 2 cornerbacks because they just got rid of Adoree Jackson and who was it? Well, yeah, they got rid of Malcolm Butler too, but they let Dennis Kelly.
Mm-hmm. Tampa Bay marches back to the Super. I don't even care if they make it to the Super Bowl. If they make it to the NFC Championship, I'm going to be just disgusted. I'm going to be disgusted.
Time to stick to tennis.
No, dude, I'm telling you, watch out for the Rams next year. That's my pick. The Rams are going to the Super Bowl next year.
Okay, I like it. I like it.
I'm calling it.
I mean, you got some talent. I like it.
If they get a running back out there, watch out.
I think you hit a wall. They're due for it, man. They've traded away a lot of capital and signed a bunch of big deals, and they traded away guys.
I don't have a problem with people. I don't have a problem with people trading away draft picks, especially from what I've been listening to lately. The statistics for draft picks aren't good for any damn team. It seems like
they're from the SEC.
Yep.
That's it. Any other conference, and it's a 50-50 shot.
That's more like an 80-20.
Yeah.
But well, I guess we can get back together in a couple of weeks, see where we're at. When does free agency end?
Well, it's
this first
basically the big pop's already starting to fizzle. After the first 3 or 4 days, it kind of just goes to sleep. Then it's all about draft preparation. So that'll probably be the next thing. I don't know what they're going to do leading up to the draft this year, but that'll be something we're talking about.
All right.
Well, they're going to have 50 different mock drafts between Todd McShay and Dingledorf Donson or whatever his name is.
I give 2 fucks, man. I do not care about anybody. Do you know what draft? These mock drafts are just the same to me as filling out a bracket. All it takes is one thing to mess it up, and is completely useless. Yeah. I do not care.
Yeah. But they'll get the top 10 to 15 mostly right. That's the thing, is that once you kind of get to the middle of April, you start to really know who your top 15 picks are. And then after that, really, it's based on who moves up and down the board, because they will, and what their needs are, and what's most important. Nobody knows after pick 12 what really is about to happen.
No, and you don't know. And there's no confidence really in how successful the first 15 are going to actually be at their job. Yes, they're easy to place because of needs and whatnot. You can kind of shake that out. But who knows, man? Trevor Lawrence may be a fucking flop in the pan.
Yeah, it could be a Ryan Leaf all over. Who knows?
Exactly. Yeah. because he played for another conference besides the SEC. I'm sorry. I'm not a big college football fan, but I am smart enough to understand that SEC is the only conference in college that produces year after year in the NFL.
All right, what quarterback?
Players.
What quarterback?
It's going to make it. It's going to make
what
it.
quarterback from the SEC has been dominant?
I don't know. I have to look it up.
Yeah, look that shit up because it's like the last one was probably fucking Peyton Manning.
No. And I'm not just hey, I didn't say only quarterback.
No, I know, I'm saying quarterbacks. I can't think of Cam Newton. He was a SEC. Joe Burrow. Burrow was SEC, but he got hurt. Who knows if he's going to be the same?
Cam Newton and Joe Burrow and Peyton Manning are pretty decent little names there to be thrown around.
I know, but that's three But who are the top quarterbacks? Are any of them an SEC quarterback?
Stafford was Georgia.
Dak Prescott, SEC.
Yeah, I get it. Well,
was he?
Yeah.
I thought you just said Mississippi State's SEC.
Yeah.
When the fuck did that happen?
They've always been SEC, dude.
No, they have not. It's bullshit.
You want to bet me?
No. Because I'm in the college less than you are, so no, I don't want to bet you.
The bottom half of the SEC, they always get their ass kicked.
Like Vanderbilt, SEC,
State and Ole Miss and Missouri. I can name you every team in the SEC, man.
Oh, well, then you know a lot more about college than you're letting on to there, buddy.
Well, I know the SEC. I will not lie to you there. I know all the teams in the SEC. Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's all I really care about. I don't. Because the rest of it, I mean, Michigan, they'll have a good team from time to time. USC. That's about it. I mean,
like Jared Goff, he was the last decent thing to come out of USC, wasn't he?
Ohio State will put and Notre Dame because they're a
conference. Oh, fuck Notre Dame. No, fuck Notre Dame.
But
they just got into a conference, didn't they? They just now get into a conference like 2 years ago?
Matthew Stafford, SEC.
Yeah, no, that's what Mike said.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah, Georgia, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, Georgia.
Yeah. Well.
Oh yeah, man. But you look at now. You want to name another position. You want to talk about linemen, be it offense or defense?
Oh no, that's SEC.
That's SEC.
That's SEC. Yeah, that's where the big boys go.
Yeah.
That's where all the draft picks come from in the first round when they're saying all the Alabama guys come out, and all the Georgia guys, and all the UT players and Florida. I mean, all the guys get drafted from the SEC. They're almost all offensive, defensive linemen.
And
this year, I don't think you have a lot of quarterback prospects beyond Trevor Lawrence this year, so I think it's going to be a run on linemen, probably the top 10, 20 picks. I mean, if we're just going to go ahead and throw this out there. And, I mean, it's going to be kind of like last year. It was kind of like that last year. And then you start to have a lot of your skill position, your cornerbacks and your wide receivers and stuff kind of falling in around 20, and then there was a run on them. I think it's going to be a lot like that this year just because of the way it's set up.
Hey, the SEC has dominated the running back position, too, for the past several years.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, I mean, it's the bigger conference. It's the physically bigger conference. I mean,
it's where the men amongst the boys. It really is.
What do you feed them? Grain?
Biscuits and gravy.
Yep.
Well, guys, we'll hook back up next week.
We shall.
We'll touch base, and we're fixing
to hit our limit. Draft?
April 29th.
Okay.
April 29th. Yep, April 29th. So.
Last day April.
Oh, wait. Next Wednesday? Next Wednesday?
Boy, I mean, we're just tentatively.
Okay, I'm going out of town Thursday through Sunday of next week.
So we'll shoot for Wednesday. If something comes up, we'll touch base.
Okay.
So.
That's
rock and roll. Good show, guys.
Later.
Hey, man.